Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Stuart's Classic Bikes and Cars. Right, let's recap a little bit from yesterday so we can catch up in case you were waiting with bated breath for what I'm going to do today. Yesterday I was just messing about with these rear set plates, and all I've done this morning, that was the original plate I cut out of plywood. Now they're going to be quite heavy if I do them with aluminium or steel or whatever I end up doing them in. So all I've done is I've cut the middle out, roughly at the moment, just to save weight and see where we are. So it'll be something similar to how this one will end up for the other side. We also made this bracket, which I've just only roughed out. This bracket is like this bracket where I'm showing you now on my finger. This one will go on the other side to support the bottom of the left-hand rear set plate. Because this one, like I said, is actually for the silencer of the exhaust system, and the other side hasn't got one. So that's a job for tomorrow. So what I'm looking at today is what I'm going to do with this disc valve housing. Like I said to you, I'm going to fit a 28mm carburetor on. This is only 24 at the moment. The 28 bore Mikuni carburetor I've got at home has an OD of 35mm, which is, as you can see, that's 35.4, which is more or less the same size. So I need to extend this diameter to the end of here, so the carburetor will fasten to this diameter using a rubber. Once I get this to here with the more material, I'll bore this out to 28mm, tapering it to this side, so it'll start out 28 this side and it'll narrow down on a taper to get to this side. But the other thing is, if you look down here, that's the inner case. That is this piece sticking out from the inner case. Now this diameter coming through this case is only this diameter, 30mm. So what I need to do, I need to take this case off, bore this hole out to 35mm to allow this diameter of 35 to come through and extend to the end of here, so I can attach my 28 smoothbore flat side racing carburetor. So before I can do that, I need to remove this cover. And before I can remove the cover, put that down out of the way, I've got to remove the clutch operating mechanism. I've taken the carburetor off already. I've just got it loosely hung at the moment, but I'll take it off properly in a minute. I need to remove the oil pump, which is redundant anyway because we won't be using it. And once I've got the oil pump off, I need to plug up the oil ways, because oil will be if I don't plug them up, fuel will be coming out outwards instead of going inwards, because I'm going to put the oil in the fuel and run pre-mix. Well, anyhow, let's start now by taking this apart and you can see what we're doing. Earlier, these are Phillips head screws here, and after they've been in and out several times, the heads are no good. So I've had to use my trusty impact driver to free up the screws ready. So what we're going to do now, we'll check the clutch mechanism off first, and then we'll see where we go from there. So I've already loosened the screws, so we'll just remove the clutch operating mechanism. I'm going to replace all of these Phillips head screws with Allen head screws, which are a lot better, and you can take them in and out hundreds of times and still have no problem. Just put that down, leave that hanging there for a second while we take this off. What we need is a pair of pliers. Just get a pair of pliers. Here we go. All we need to do is to take this clutch cable. What we can do is actually if we undo the adjustment on the clutch cable like so, this is the adjustment on the clutch cable where you adjust it. So if you wind the clutch cable in to give yourself more free play, you can see this is coming down. Every time I turn it, the clutch is coming loose. So all we need to do now is pull this clutch cable then it's like it should just slip out of there. Because somebody's bent it, that's why. Somebody has bent the locking mechanism. So we'll just bend it back. Smack those pliers somewhere. There we go, I knew we had a pair somewhere. Next time you look at me, I've got a new hydraulic workbench coming to get me off the floor. I'm too old messing about on the floor. Somebody's bent this inwards, that's the problem. There we go. So that's the clutch mechanism there. It's only a pressed steel thing and a clevis pin that's bent, but we'll rectify that later. So we'll just put that on the table out of the way so we don't lose anything. So that's the clutch mechanism off. So while we're at it, we'll remove this clutch cable altogether to get this clutch cable out of the way. So all we've got to do is undo this adjuster, like so. Just a bit tight, but it's okay. a lot of adjustment on these cables. That's the clutch cable. It's a fairly new cable with the looks of it. So we'll just put that up there temporarily out of harm's way a little bit. Just put it in there. Out of the way. And we'll take it off at the clutch cable in there. So the next thing we have to take off is this carburettor that's hung there. Now the carburettor has two cables on it. That there is the throttle cable. As you can see, it's lifting the throttle slide up and down. And this is the choke cable. So we need to take the carburettor off. So if you undo the top of the carburettor, you can just lift the slide out like so and be careful not to lose anything. And if you put the spring up in your hand, push the cable down and across, it should just pop out. Like so. That is the throttle cable disconnected. So we'll just leave that there for a minute. We'll put the slide back in so we don't lose anything with the carburettor. When you're putting the slide back in, just be aware, you all probably know this, it's got a little tit on it, a little location. It locates in here. So inside the carb body there's a little tit that locates in that slot. That's it. So we'll put that back, and also on the top of the carburettor there's also a little locating dowel which you have to locate before you can get the top back on. You should be careful when putting tops back on these carburettors because they're only a very cheap aluminium alloy and it's very easy to damage the threads. So next, what we're going to do, we need a 12mm spanner somewhere, which that could be it, trying to escape. We'll just undo this nut, which is actually the choke. So that's the choke. I've just taken it out and that's all it is. So that's the carburettor. It's virtually a new carburettor. It's a standard carburettor. So if anybody wants one, I've got one here in Alassassin in Maravella. So I'll put that on the table for safekeeping. We'll just put this cable up here temporarily out of the way. Right, what have we got left now before we can take this cover off? Right. What we've got now is the oil pump cable, which is this. So if we undo this, these two screws here, which I've already undone with the impact screwdriver previously. That is the oil pump cable disconnected. I'm going to put that bracket on there so we don't lose it. We're not going to use it anyhow, but there's no point losing things if you don't have to. just put that on there for safekeeping. Just turn it in a couple of threads. I don't like leaving stuff loose, because if you leave things loose, you end up losing them. So there we are. That's the bracket back on. What do we need now? We need this bung taken out here. This rubber bung. This rubber bung is just to stop water. It's just to stop water going into the mechanism, that rubber bung. So we've disconnected the oil pump cables. We'll just stand them there for safekeeping. And what have we got left now? That there is the oil supply line that went to the oil tank, which the oil tank's already been removed, so we don't need that at the moment. So what else have we got? That was a breather. That was the pipe going to the carburetor from the fuel tank. So that's an old. That can come out. It's no use. It's just rubbish. I'll put a new pipe. So what we need to do now is remove the oil pump, which is here. Then we can take this cover off. So there's just the oil pump to come out. That is the oil pump there, and that's the supply line to the pump. So we need to take that screw out, so that bolt. So using my sockets, what size do we think we have? Bigger than that. 14 millimetre. That'll just be about right. So we get an extension and a ratchet. Then we remove the oil supply line banjo union. Just be very careful with these because they're all fine threads. There you go, that's the banjo for the oil supply line. So we'll leave that on there. What we need to take out next, as you can see, that pipe now is loose and ready to be taken out. So what we need to do now is take the Phillips screws out that hold the oil pump body to the main case. That's one. Two. Right, that there is the oil pump and it's held on with two screws. That's the mechanical driven oil pump there. It's just driven here off the end of the crankshaft. So that's the oil pump removed. So we'll put the oil pump on the table for safekeeping, and I'm going to put the oil pump screws back in where I took them from so we don't lose them. If I can find a screwdriver. Where's the screwdriver? Ah, well, so we'll put these screws back in. Just good practice to keep everything where it comes from, and then when you come to reassembling things you've not lost them. So that's that there. So what we now do is take out the remainder of the screws. Now there's two internal ones which are here. I've undone these earlier using an impact driver. They're not slack. So that's one. Let's put that in the box. There's one. One in there somewhere. I can't wait for my hydraulic table to get here because I'm just too old to be working like this on the floor. When I was in the UK, I had 2 hydraulic tables, but unfortunately, I haven't got them anymore, hence I'm working like this. But I've got a new table coming, so in the near future, you'll see me working on a brand new hydraulic table. Right, we can take the outside ones out now. One there. I'm going to replace all these. These are all Phillips headed screws, and as you can see, I don't know whether you can see it on the camera or not, but the heads have all gone. I'm going to replace them with Allen screws. That's one. Two. Three. Four. Five. Get up a chair. No use working like this. 71 years old, on my hands and knees, messing about from outside. Just wait while my new bench gets here, then we'll see something special. Even me, there's a tight on there. Just happen to have an impact screwdriver at my fingertips. I thought I'd undone all these, but maybe not. There we go, a slight tap with the impact wrench, with the impact screwdriver, and it's out. So, and oh, one more there. Another tight one, I thought I'd undone all these. So what's left in here now? It's that one in there. 71 years old, laid on the floor in his workshop, messing about him all the time. You wouldn't believe it. Right, that's them all out, I believe. Just check. Out, 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 out. Out, out, out. Nothing in there. Out, out. So, things being equal, that should come off. But what we really need I have a little plastic hammer for this sort of thing. And sit back on the chair again and just see if I can get this cover to come off. There we go. So there's a thrust washer there, which needs to come out of there so we don't lose it. It's off the back of the clutch then. Front of the foot. That's the operating mechanism for the clutch sensor. We'll just put that on the table with the clutch straps. Drained all the oil out of this yesterday, but there's a couple of remnants in, so they put the oil catch tank underneath again, just so we get the last few little drops out. That's the cover loose. So just let the oil drain out, and then we can pull the cover off. And that there is the inside of the disc valve outer cover. That there is the nylon gear that drives the oil pump, etc. That's the oil pump drive there. In here, this is the clutch here. This is the primary drive. That's the crankshaft pulley drive. And this one drives the clutch, which then drives the internal gearbox. Well, now you can see what we're doing, and also what we need to do. When I find something to point with, there we go, we'll use them. So, if we have just a little bit of a recap, this is a standard disc valve housing I'm going to fit a decal through. It actually goes through that hole, like so. Like that. Well, it doesn't go like that. Yes, it does. It goes through there, like so. That's the one on it, like that. That's the original one. So what we need to do is make that diameter the same as that. And then also, this hole in the cover needs boring to 55mm, so I can get that diameter through that hole. Well, that's not a big job, but we can have a look at doing that tomorrow. Right, that's all for today, folks. I hope you're following me and you can see what I'm trying to do. Keep watching, be interested, please subscribe and please follow me. I'm a little bit old, but I get there in the end. Bye bye.